From SF Land, this is Dorking Out, a podcast for people who love to dork out about movies, TV, and everything pop culture.
Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and I'm a drag queen. Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margo D. Hello, my friend.
Hey, my friend.
We are dorking out about 1995's To Wong Foo. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. This is kind of our gay pride episode, I guess. Yeah, not I guess. It is. Sure it is.
It is.
It was a suggestion from my friend John, so it's kind of a request, I guess. He kind of casually suggested it. So let's say it's a request. If you haven't seen it, this is kind of the American version of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Mm-hmm.
And it stars Patrick Swayze, Wesley Snipes, and John Leguizamo as drag queens driving across country. And they, of course, their car breaks down in a small town. And in the small town is Stockard Channing, Blythe Danner, Jason London, Chris Penn, Melinda Dillon, Arliss Howard. And then there are also cameos by RuPaul and Robin Williams.
I know, that broke my goddamn heart.
I know. I was like, I forgot you were in this.
I totally forgot. And I honestly felt myself get a little sad and sick.
Yeah.
I just like, oh God, no, I forgot he did a cameo in this movie.
I wasn't prepared. Like if I knew we were watching Awakenings or something, like I'd be like, I know
Right.
Robin Williams is in this and I can mentally prepare myself, but I was not. I was already mentally prepared for Patrick Swayze. I wasn't prepared for Robin Williams too.
Right.
Anyway, this is a screenplay written by Douglas Bean, and it was his first ever script. Did you read that too? His first ever script, and it was like there was a whole bidding war. And Steven Spielberg's production company bought it. And a first-time director, I don't know if she's directed very much. She did Bridget Jones' Edge of Reason after this, which is the worst one in the trilogy. And when people say when they're talking about the trilogy, I always assume they're talking about Bridget Jones until I'm told differently, because it could be Star Wars, but I assume it's Bridget Jones. What is your relationship with this movie, Margo? Did you see it in the theater?
I did see it in the theater I think it was the summer it came out, right? In 1995.
Yeah.
And I just moved to New York.
Oh, okay.
Living in my first apartment in Brooklyn, the apartment I'm still in because it's rent stabilized.
Smart.
And I thought the trailer looked funny, and I thought Jason London was adorable from Dazed and Confused.
Oh, so cute.
Everybody drink.
Everybody drink. I am drinking.
Yep, me too. And so I made sure to see it like opening weekend. And I don't think I've seen it since.
Yeah, I think it played at my theater that I was working at. So I saw it one time in the theater, and then, I saw bits and pieces while it was during its run. But I hadn't revisited in a really long time. But I remember seeing it and thinking, like, yeah, that was fine. Like, I liked it. I remember thinking it was kind of a big deal. Like, Patrick Swayze and Wesley Snipes, they're pretty macho dudes, like,
yeah.
Point Break, Demolition Man, like these were the movies they were making. New Jack City, Wesley Snipes had done White Men Can't Jump. And of course, like, Patrick Swayze was like, Point Break and Dirty Dancing and Next of Kin and Roadhouse, and macho dudes. And for them to kind of take on these roles it was kind of a big deal for them to do.
Oh,
this.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And to do it with such gusto, to really try to look like women, like not, what's that? Was it called Sorority Girls? Do you remember that one?
No, I remember White Chicks.
Yeah, that was another one I jotted down. I was like, ugh, White Chicks. I didn't see White Chicks, actually, so maybe it's funny, but it doesn't look funny to me. Where they just
It's stupid but great.
They don't look like women. Like they don't even really try. And I love that Wesley Snipes and Patrick Swayze and John Leguizamo really try to look like drag queens. Like they really do. And I think they look great.
I don't think they look great.
Oh no! See,
I know.
So Margo and I didn't talk about this off the air, but we were both getting the vibe that maybe there's some disagreement about this movie. We're gonna have our first ever fight.
We're gonna put up your dukes.
Yeah, we're totally gonna fight about this movie. No, I'm pretty sure we're not. But you don't think they look great?
No, I don't. I think they look okay. I think they could have gone with they went with big names, which is the smart thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, there's a lot. I think they could have done a lot better makeup and hair for Wesley Snipes and for Patrick Swayze too. They're still too masculine for me. Patrick Swayze is trying super hard.
Yeah,
I see that, but I think someone forgot to tell Patrick Swayze it's supposed to be a comedy, and I think he's got to stick up his butt a lot of the times. I think John Leguizamo is perfect. I think he gets all of it down.
Right.
But I think Wesley and Patrick are just a little too muscular, really.
Interesting.
Like, I think they look like they could beat the shit out of it. Like why anybody thinks they could take them on is like, what?
That's true. They do look like they could kick your ass.
Yeah.
They absolutely do.
I'll be even worse. I'm sorry. I'm going to be terrible in this episode. Apologizing now to everybody. But the top of the film, they feature a drag queen scene, and it's in New York City. And some of them are famous drag queens.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they look like great. I think only RuPaul. RuPaul looks beautiful. Why is she in a Confederate dress?
What is that?
What the fuck was that about?
I don't know.
She looks great.
But
Ru
what the
looks
fuck?
Awesome. But what the fuck? Why was it a Confederate dress? It's a Yankee city. I don't get it. And I feel like they toned down the looks of the other ones because no way in hell would they win against people like they did.
Yeah. So actually, one of the things I did write in my notes about this movie is it's like the PG-13 version of. Actually, I don't remember what rating Priscilla Queen of the Desert is. So I just kind of assumed it was R, but this is kind of the PG version of this. And I do feel like things are kind of muted and the movie's kind of sexless.
They have no interest in sex.
Yeah.
Except for Chi-Chi, John Leguizamo.
Right.
The other two have no interest in dicks. They have no interest in bodies. They don't flirt with anybody ever. And it's just them really trying to do, I don't know. It's very, look, this movie was made like 24 years ago. I can't do math. It was revolutionary in a lot of ways to have these very masculine, burly, like you said, action guys do this part and play women. But I never buy it.
That is so interesting.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I think Patrick Swayze does a better job than Wesley Snipes in this movie. Actually,
he's prettier.
He's prettier, but I also think like I think he's given more to do, and he's got more of a. I mean, Wesley Snipes' character is basically comic relief,
right? And he's good at that.
Yeah, but you think that John Leguizamo's character, Chi-Chi Rodriguez, would be which, by the way, I keep wanting to call him Chai Rodriguez from WKRP.
WKRP. And by the way, Chi Rodriguez sued the movie because he said it hurt his reputation. Chi Rodriguez was a golfer in the late 70s. If you guys don't know who that is. And Les Nessman always pronounced his name wrong on WKRP.
He always called him Chai Rodriguez.
Chai Rodriguez. Just, oh my God.
Every time I see it in my notes, I'm like, Chai Rodriguez. Can't help myself. I'm so sorry. Anyway, I think that I almost did it again. Chi-Chi is supposed to be the comic relief, but I actually think Noxzema Jackson, which is Wesley Snipes' character, seems to be more of the comic relief because I feel like Chi-Chi and Vita Boheme, that's Patrick Swayze's character, they have more of a character arc. A little
much
bit.
More.
And Noxzema Jackson is just the same throughout. Like
she's like Whoopi Goldberg. She's the sassy black woman that makes fun of white people for being lame.
With a voice that sounds like Miss Piggy.
Yes. And I mean, there's scenes I like. I like him with the old lady, Alice Drummond. Like he kind of brings her out. So they win. So Wesley Snipes, Noxzema and Vita, I think it's the two of them, co-win a contest.
Yes.
Which just doesn't happen. Okay. Like I know I'm such an asshole, but
no, you're not. You're not.
But then, so they get these tickets to go to California and they cash in the tickets and they take Chi-Chi with them. And Chi-Chi is like a budding, drag queen. He's a Latin boy and he's playing much younger.
Why is that little Latin boy crying? Little Latin boy, why are you crying?
Why are you crying? And so they get this, is it a Cadillac? They get a souped up car.
Yeah, they go for style over substance and pick this Cadillac convertible to drive instead of the sensible Corolla.
The Corolla, which of course makes sense. And it's a better movie with it.
Yeah.
I like the scene where he goes to Bala Cynwyd. I used to live in Pennsylvania. I know exactly where that is. I know those homes very well. I know those people very well. So I thought that was an interesting scene. Patrick Swayze kind of drives home and then is like, fuck this, let's go.
Yeah.
And then their car breaks down in Nebraska. And it happens on a Friday night and they can't get the part until Monday morning.
Of course.
So they got to stay in this town of 50 people. Like, how small is this small town?
The town is so weird too.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's get into that.
Let's get into this.
This town is super weird. I don't even know if there's 50 people there, but apparently in this town, it is filled with every young man who is a rapist, except for one.
Michael Vartan is in this movie.
Yeah.
Is that how you say his name?
Yeah, playing one of the bad boys, which you never buy because he's not a bad boy type. You just don't ever buy it. But like, other than Jason London, like every young man in this movie is a rapist. They all
rapey.
And creepy. They're all like hooting and hollering at the ladies and, threaten Chi-Chi at one point to like gang rape her. It's that's like, I mean, nowadays they would say trigger because it's super obvious that that's what they're gonna do. Yeah.
I don't know if we mentioned or not. Robin Williams has a little part at the very top. He's at a club in Jersey City, and his name's John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. Oh, for God's sakes! Because someone has to make the joke. His name is my name too.
Yeah,
and that's the whole reason that you would call him that.
Yes,
but I watch him, and then I'm like, can we please see the movie that you do with Nathan Lane, The Birdcage? Like, is this where all of a sudden magically we're going to go to Miami?
When did The Birdcage come out? Was this the same year?
Same time. It was like a year or two later. I remember The Birdcage, and it's one of my favorites. And no, but that's not what happens. Their car breaks down, so they're in this little town in Oklahoma or Nebraska. I forget which one.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. All my friends. I have a really good friend from Oklahoma, and she will slap me if I said that. But who gives a shit? So they're in this small town. They stay in a little hotel. Well, first they stay at a nice hotel, and there's a basketball team.
They crash such a stereotype, right? They crash the women's basketball league, and
Wesley Snipes plays basketball, which is hilarious to watch. Yeah, in a little dress and kills it. And then they stay. Then their car breaks down. So they go to this little town in Oklahaska. I don't know, Oklahoma or Nebraska. But they meet the Stockard Channing, who looks so young and pretty. It's like
how is it that she looks younger in this movie than she does playing a teenager in Grease?
I thought the same goddamn thing. And then Blythe Danner. I mean, is she a wizard? Like, because I looked it up. She's like 52 or 53 when she made this movie. And she looks like a hot 39, 40.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
she's really. I think she's very funny in this movie.
Very funny. I think she's got a lot of comedy chops.
Yeah,
I think she's
the
really
town
good.
gossip. She knows everything about everyone, and
right.
She dishes. She's not subtle. She's got a big mouth.
Oh, but we forgot to mention, of course, on the way there, just before they get to this town, a cop pulls them over, and it's Chris Penn, R.I.P.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad. How he
another one. Oh my God! Is there like a Wong Foo curse?
Swayze, yeah.
There's a curse.
So yeah, he was only 40 when he died.
Yeah, he was young.
Yeah. So he plays this redneck police officer, and because Patrick's the prettiest one, he kind of takes her aside. And supposedly Patrick Swayze put a corn cob in his pants, in his underwear. So when Chris Penn reaches for it, he feels a corn cob, and that's his reaction, like, oh my God. But of course, Patrick Swayze kicks his ass. He's attempted to sexually assault him.
Yes.
And the three of them hit on him, and then he falls to the ground, and they just assume he's dead.
Yes.
So they get in the car and drive away, but one of them, Chi-Chi, leaves her shoe behind. And they somehow, the cops, find this guy. He's been unconscious for 12 hours, 24 hours. He's totally fine when he wakes up.
Yes.
And then he's going town to town to find these drag queens, because he's going to kill them now.
He's got this list. Like, he's got a list that he's handwritten, and it's like places for homos. It's like
that. Oh my God.
Flower shops, ballet class.
Oh my God.
But it is something that a stupid bigot would do. So
I know. Okay. And so they wind up in this town. So Stockard Channing gives them a room. It's kind of a crappy room. And then there's the funny sequence. They play Wonder Woman theme and they zhuzh it up.
Yes.
And it turns out they're going to be stuck there for a couple of days. For the week, they're only there for a weekend, for Pete's sake.
Right.
And it turns out Stockard Channing is married to a guy that beats her.
Yeah.
And, it's upsetting to listen to.
This movie's weird. I do like it, and I am going to defend it. But because so much of the movie is super light. And they really are like, I'm sorry, I guess pun intended. They are like fairy godmothers, right? They like come into this town and they like give people makeovers and they like improve their lives. But then the movie has these dark things, like multiple times they're almost sexually assaulted. There's wife beating. It's like Chris Penn's character drops the N-word at one point.
It's racist. There's no AIDS references, which is shocking.
Yeah.
But there's none of that. But there's tons of other stuff to bring you down.
The tone is super weird because if you have like a scene where they're like Wonder Woman and they're like remaking a room and like throwing things around and spinning around and dressing up their room, but then like, the next scene is a group of guys trying to sexually assault Chi-Chi. Like, it's fucking weird.
And he just happens to get rescued by Jason London, who's a young kid who has a crush on Chi-Chi right away, even though there's a girl in town who clearly is in love with him.
Right.
And
they have to be together because, like we said, there's like 20 people in the town, and they're the only two
of the corn.
Yeah, they're like the only ones that are the same age. Of course, they're gonna be together.
It's like Children of the Corn Baron, this town. Like, they have a store, but like one person's there. And then there's one woman they talk to, like, oh yeah, I own the beauty shop. And then all of a sudden they open up the beauty shop and everybody gets makeovers. And then they go to the general store and he goes, hey, in the back room, I've got all these clothes from the 60s, which should be covered in moths, technically. 30 years later.
Right.
But that gives everybody a boner. And so they throw the clothes at everybody. And they run around, and as soon as they start doing that, and they're dancing in the dirt streets, there's no pavement anywhere. The wild rapey boys are like, "Ooh, wait a minute, we gotta respect these ladies better." And oh my God, there's a strawberry festival, And
I do love it when they ask Blythe Danner's character, like, what is the strawberry social? And she's like, well, we all make strawberry pies and then we eat them.
yes.
Like, that's it.
That's that, and that would be it, because what else is going on in this
really? Because
town?
there's 20 of them.
And they make a cafe in an afternoon. Like
Yeah.
they put out some tablecloths and then they're playing music. And there's an interracial coupling kind of there, which I guess for the time that's a little bit racy. Blythe Danner
Right.
has a guy that's interested in her.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time. There's a whole scene where the husband is beating up the wife, and Patrick Swayze is explaining, like, we actually need to break this up. And Wesley Snipes is like, no, we can't do that. We can't get involved. I'm like, you're really just going to sit there, no TV on, nothing to distract, and just listen to this woman get beaten up.
Yeah. It's really fucked up.
It's so fucked up. It's like, you're not a good person.
No. But Patrick Swayze's character is such a nice person, like such a kind soul. Like, he's the reason that Chi-Chi's even on this trip, because he wants to help her. And then he wants to help Stalker Channing. And then he wants to help the teenage girl. Like, he really, I keep going back to this, he really is like a fairy godmother.
Yeah.
And I think that the stuff that's so sweet, like, offsets for me the things about it that I think are kind of lame or creepy.
Well, in the end, the town is completely transformed. And in one punch, Patrick Swayze turns this wife abuser into somebody that just turns around and walks away.
Right.
And you assume he's not going to go back and beat her up when he's gone.
Right.
But yeah, and she immediately heals up. They have a fashion show. Everybody gets dressed up in red. Even the redneck boys are into it.
Yeah.
And it's cute. I mean, they have a dance sequence and everything.
Yeah.
But then, Chris Penn has to show up, and all they have to do is embarrass him a little bit, and he just takes off. Like, that whole character,
they get
just like
the I'm Spartacus moment where they're like, I'm the drag queen. I'm the drag queen.
Yeah.
I do. What do you think about when, after Vita beats up, punches out the wife beater, and they're like sitting around drinking wine, and Stalker Channing's character's like, let's get rid of all the men. And then she's like, we should get rid of all the men, but Mel Gibson can stay.
Oh, and I had to laugh my ass off, because you and I just talked about Mel Gibson on our other show, What a Creep.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, no, you be in even worse shape, people.
Yeah, he also beats his wife. You don't want Mel Gibson to stay. She also said Mr. Rogers, and I was like, yes, Mr. Rogers could stay.
Mr. Rogers, yes.
Yeah.
She should have said Tom Hanks and Mr. Rogers, but
that would have been way better.
Yeah. It's very dated. And it's cute. It's not going to hurt you to watch this movie, but it's very. The way it's very reductive over what does gay mean, what does straight mean, what does trans mean, what is it's for the time it was revolutionary. And I think some people saw this movie and think that's all there is.
Right.
And so they don't want to hear about gender, cis, whatever. Like non-conforming or non-binary, like none of this existed then.
Right.
I mean, this is super basic stuff.
Yeah.
And so you have to just sort of take it for what it is, for what the time was.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it was like, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. There's a couple of times with the directing, so bad, or the editing. There's a couple of scenes that have really weird, bad edits. And I think like either the scene just didn't go anywhere or there's something that's missing. Yeah. But there's a couple of times in this movie that had some weird, bad edits that I was like, who watched over this?
Well, it turns out Steven Spielberg watched over this.
Yeah, well, and he didn't know. It was up for a bidding war. And then he thought, well, I think it's funny, but let me send this to Robin Williams, because if Robin Williams thinks it's funny, then we'll do it. And Robin Williams said, it's great, but I'm too hairy. I can't play the part, but I'll do a cameo. And that's how the movie got made.
Yeah. I do think you're right in that it is silly that anyone at any moment would believe that Patrick Swayze and Wesley Snipe are women. Like, I think they really try to look like drag queens, but I wouldn't say they necessarily look like women. If you know, when you talk about the difference, like, because women don't walk around dressed up like that. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I mean, some do.
No,
I guess,
they look like a Far Side cartoon.
But like,
it's just super over the top.
But John Leguizamo actually really looks like a woman to me.
I think he's in touch with his inner Latina.
Yeah.
But I think Wesley Snipes and I think Patrick Swayze were both like, I've worked out really hard to get these guns, and I'm going to keep them. Mm-hmm. And I don't care if my shoulders are as broad as a linebacker's. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't care all that. Like, I'm still going to be this, but I'll wear it in a dress, and I'll just put on fake nails and a wig, and that's how I'll do it.
Yeah. I did. I read Roger Ebert's review, and he gave it He gave it a pretty decent review, but I did think this was funny. He said that John Leguizamo was playing Rosie Perez.
Yeah, he was.
And he said that it said Swayze actually looks pretty good in drag. Women around me were oohing and ahhing at his trim waist, and I'm like, yeah, we probably would. Yeah, that makes sense.
No, I look. He had a great body, and he worked very hard for it.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have smoked so goddamn much, but
I know.
Damn you.
So, I did see that this movie was nominated for Golden Globes. So Swayze was nominated for comedy actor, but he lost to John Travolta for Get Shorty. But then when I was reading the nominees, one of them is Steve Martin for Father of the Bride Part 2.
No.
That's not a good movie, you guys.
No, it's in our list. We don't like it.
Yeah. And then John Leguizamo is nominated for supporting actor. He lost to Brad Pitt for 12 Monkeys. And I was like, well, that makes sense.
Oh, that makes total sense.
I'm like, because he was really good in that. But then he's also nominated against Kevin Spacey for The Usual Suspects, and he will go on to win the Oscar for that. But that's me sidetracking us.
Yeah.
Sorry, my apologies. I just like this movie more than you, but I do recognize that it has problems for sure. There's some stuff in it that's just too dark for the tone of for the rest of the movie. It doesn't mesh very well.
I was looking for more funny. That was the trailer that we got.
Yeah.
And that's what I was looking for. I wanted more frivolity. I wanted to be more funny, more over the top.
Right. Like maybe instead of a wife beater, he's a cheater. Like we could live with that, you know?
Yeah.
Like
or drunk.
Or drunk. Sure. Let's take that. Like that's better than like someone who a little less rapey, a little less wife beaty.
Yeah.
Would be nice. I don't love that it drops the N-word for no reason. No. I don't think we need that. But I do like things about it. Like I like the relationship between Patrick Swayze's character and Stockard Channing's character. I think it's very sweet. I like that, she knew right away that he's a man.
A dude.
Yeah, and she says like, your Adam's apple. Like I noticed when we first met, you have an Adam's apple and that men have Adam's apples. And then she says, I know that I'm very fortunate to have a lady friend who happens to have an Adam's apple. And I just thought like, it's very sweet. It's like, and then of course she says like, I don't think of you as a man. I don't think of you as a woman. I think of you as an angel, which is, what kind of silly. But then I love Vita's response of, I think that's healthy.
Yeah.
Like that made me laugh, the delivery of that line. I think that's healthy.
It is a product of its time. It's
For sure.
The mid-90s. I think Clinton is still in office then.
Yeah.
I think it's just the world was different and our attitudes about things were different. It's just, for me, it was just a little, I felt this way though when I first saw it. I'm like, where's the funny? I wanted it to be funnier. I wanted it to be a lot funnier and a lot more joyful. Mm-hmm. I just felt it had too many, it just has too many dark scenes to it and too many dark elements.
I think you're right though. I think John Leguizamo had a different idea of what he thought the movie was going to be. Because,
oh yeah,
because he's really over the top and funny, and I did read that like he and Patrick Swayze actually like almost got into a fight or something once because John Leguizamo kept improvising and Swayze's not really an improviser. He's more of a stick to the script kind of person.
I would get that about him. I would get that feeling from him. Yeah. He's not like let's just throw it out there and see what happens. I think he's very methodical. I think it's maybe that dance training and all that stuff. Like he just likes to have everything in place.
I could see that.
Yeah, Leguizamo's more just like I've seen him do one-man shows on Broadway, and he's all over the place.
He is. He's super hyper.
Yeah.
When you saw this, were you even more in love with Jason London or less?
It's not a great part because man, is he fickle. Like he's totally in love with Chi-Chi, and like within 10 hours he's like, bye, I'm gonna marry this girl because she put on a dress for me. And a lot of that stuff too. Yeah,
that's true.
But he's still cute. He's still super cute. I mean, let's be clear. Yeah,
I love how basically dumb people are that they can't tell that these are drag queens.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe in a small town before RuPaul's Drag Race, it's not as known that's a thing.
That's all I can say. That's all I can say. Because a lot of people's like, really? You don't see Wesley Snipes' big fucking arms that are like ready for an arm wrestling competition? And I'm in the fitness industry. I'm around women with big arms.
Right.
That's just all other level.
Yeah, you gotta let some shit slide if you want to enjoy this movie. Yeah. Oh gosh. I'm like, what else? What else could I tell you about this movie? We both read a really good article about it on The Advocate about how it got made, which was really interesting. Oh,
more interesting than the movie. I'm sorry.
You are so funny. It was a really interesting article, though, about like how Amblin Entertainment came to acquire it and how it was shepherded through the process, and then kind of what it meant for some of the people that worked on it after its time had passed. I'll just say I remember
the guy. I loved it that the guy that his job was to look at books and movies and scripts and decide whether or not they were worth filming. And he would write, memos. That's what my friend Erin does that for a living. And so at the time, he was the only out person at Amblin Entertainment. And this is like 1990 or something.
Yeah.
So he said whenever he did the AIDS walk, he got the most sponsors of anybody. He would just walk around the office.
Right.
And then as soon as who's going to say no? And then as soon as this movie started coming out, everybody started coming out of the closet at the office. Mm-hmm. And then he said, then it became really tough to get sponsors. So it's such a different time. We forget just how different the world was at the time.
It really was. Like this movie was such a big deal.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear about the top 10 movies of 1995?
Yes, of course.
So number 10 is Jumanji. Number 9 is Waterworld.
Ooh.
We'll have to do that one someday because that's Costner.
Must.
Number 8 is Casper. I never saw Casper.
Me neither.
I'm kind of fascinated that it made that much money. I know this one's on our list. Number 7 is Seven.
Yes.
Number 6 is Batman Forever.
Oh yeah.
Number 5 is Pocahontas.
Yes.
That one was played at my theater. It made so much money. Number 4, GoldenEye. I think that's the first Pierce Brosnan James Bond.
I think you're right.
And number 3 is Apollo 13.
I love Apollo 13.
Yeah, that's a legit great movie. That played at my theater, and we had the poster up, and an old man came up, and he seriously asked this. He wasn't joking. I haven't seen the other Apollo movies. Do you think I'll understand this one? I thought he was joking, and I was laughing, and he was like not joking. He He just saw like the title card. He didn't see he didn't see the poster or anything. He just saw Apollo 13. I was like, you're an old man. Don't you remember Apollo 13? Like, anyway, poor old man. Number 2 is Toy Story. Love Toy Story. And number 1, and I couldn't believe this shit, is Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Stop it.
Yeah. Can you believe
I haven't seen that movie in a long time?
Can you believe that was the number 1 movie one year?
No, I really can't, to be honest with you. No.
It's a terrible movie.
Is that the one in New York?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe other people really like it. I just remember thinking it's terrible. I'm fascinated it made that much money.
Wow. So do you want to hear about the top songs of 95?
Yes, I do.
So I'm just going to pick a sprinkling of them. We have Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Yeah, okay.
You Are Not Alone, Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Fantasy by Mariah Carey. I love this song.
I still love that song. I love that song.
Oh, it's so good. You Ought to Know by Alanis Morissette.
Okay, everyone had that album back in the day. Everyone.
Oh, it was so good.
It was the law. You had to have it.
Did you see the movie Us?
Yes.
Yeah, the Jordan Peele movie?
Yeah.
Okay, so the number one of the top songs, I Got 5 on It by Loonies. I got 5 on it. That was my really bad version. Sorry. Colors of the Wind, Vanessa Williams.
Oh, that's from Pocahontas.
This Is How We Do It, Montel Jordan.
That song's legit awesome.
And I'll Be There For You, the Rembrandts.
Oh gosh, from France, yes.
And
but I'm going to start singing the Montel Jordan song. This is how we do it.
Do it. And Wonderwall by Oasis.
I still love that song. I'm a big Oasis fan.
Oasis stands. Oasis still sounds great. Still sounds fresh. I like Oasis.
Me too. They're huge assholes, but I like their music.
Oh, I got a story to tell you off the air, but yep.
Oh, I want to hear it.
Yep.
We better hurry up and end this show because I want to hear
we gotta
the
end this shit.
What else are you dorking out about?
So I don't know if we talked about this before, but there's a show on FX. It just completed, and there was a movie called What We Do in the Shadows, and it's a New Zealand comedy about vampires. And one of the guys from Flight of the Conchords wrote it and starred in it.
Yeah. And
they made a TV series, and it's set in Staten Island, New York. And it's these old vampires that try to come to New York, and they fall asleep for a couple of 100 years and forget to take over. And so they're being charged with like getting new recruits to be vampires. So they're trying to be vampires in modern day New York City. And it's so fucking hilarious. It's all streaming now if you have FX. And it's one of the funniest shows. It's a half an hour apiece. It's filthy but hilarious. And there's one guy that like is big. Like all the vampires have different kinds of powers. Like some can disappear, some can climb really fast. One guy is an energy vampire, and his whole thing is that he's super annoying. And he annoys people so much that they just kind of pass out.
I used to refer to someone in my office as a time vampire. Because she would come by and talk to you about nothing. And you're like, oh, my God, that was 30 minutes. She just sucked 30 minutes out of my life.
He would get people so annoyed that they would pass out and then he'd suck their blood. Like, that was his power. And it's, like I said, all available. They just had their first season. And I just watched it again the other night. And laughing so hard, I think I woke up my neighbors. So I'm sorry if one of my neighbors is listening right now. But it's called What We Do in the Shadows. And definitely look for it.
Yeah, I have seen the movie, and I love the movie, and it's
it's great.
God dang it! What's the director's name? He did Thor Ragnarok.
I know.
Tika. No, God damn it. Anyway, yeah. So I think the movie's super hilarious, and I want to watch the show so bad, but I don't have FX, so I'm waiting for it to come on Hulu or Netflix or Amazon or whatever to watch it, because it's my
just
thing.
Keep an eye out for it. I know we have people that listen all around the world to us, so just kind of keep an eye out for it. But this is the first season. It's set in, like I said, Staten Island, New York, and it has great cameos. Kristen Shaw's in there.
I love her.
Oh, she's so funny. It's really, really, really good. They have an orgy scene that's like one of the funniest things I've seen in my life. Just
I
anyway.
Can't wait. So
what we do in the shadows.
We're gonna go from vampires to zombies. I went out and saw The Dead Don't Die, the new Jim Jarmusch movie.
Oh yeah, how is it?
I thought it was very funny. It is funny and weird. When it was done, I was like, I don't know how I laughed at certain parts, and then other parts are so awkward they're funny, and the movie's so strange, but I liked it. And I mean, it's got a cast that's so awesome. It's got Bill Murray and Adam Driver and Tilda Swinton, and she's a fucking kook, man. Everything she shows up in, I was like, you fucking weirdo. You beautiful, amazing, talented weirdo. Tom Waits, Carol Kane. That's probably, I think the Carol Kane one is, her scenes are the ones that everyone's talking about, where she's a zombie and, you know, she's like, Chardonnay. Because basically, like, they've been doing polar fracking, and it's made the world off its axis a little bit. So now we're getting like longer days and sometimes no nights at all. And then the dead start rising from the grave. And when they do, they kind of are drawn to what they used to do, and they kind of just repeat like the same thing over and over. So it'll be like guitar, 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 you know, or and some of them are like Skittles, you know, just whatever they were super into. And Carol Kane was the town drunk, apparently, and she's like, Chardonnay. Chardonnay. It's just such a weird movie. I haven't seen a lot of Jim Jarmusch movies, but I hear that they're all very, you know, a lot of improv, a lot of like multiple stories and characters that kind of don't go anywhere, and sometimes they intersect and sometimes they don't. And this movie is like that, but it's also a zombie movie. It's a very strange movie, but it
sounds amazing.
But I really liked it. It's pretty funny, I have to say. And come on, Bill Murray is the fucking shit. And I love Adam Driver more and more, like everything I see him in. And it's got Tilda Swinton, man.
I have to say something.
Yeah.
So what we do in the shadows, they have a special episode where there's a special counsel, and they're interviewing our vampires and putting them on trial. Tilda Swinton is one of the vampires.
Of course she is.
And Wesley Snipes is one of them.
Oh my God.
And Wesley Snipes they do through Skype. He's at his home in California, and he's insane. You've got to see the show.
I do have to see the show.
You'll love it.
That's hilarious. Of course she's a vampire. She probably really is one. She is so weird. I love her so much. Every time she shows up and shit, I'm like, you fucking talented weirdo. You're awesome. So it's really good. I haven't seen his other movies. I think he did one called Stranger Than Paradise, and he's done like Coffee and Cigarettes and Down by Law. My husband's seen them all. He said that this sounds like it's right on target, right in line with all of his other ones. So I think I need to go back and watch some of the other ones. But this one's, I think it was funny. I thought it was funny. So everyone should go see it. And there was like nobody in the theater when I saw it. It was kind of sad. It was
Alamo Drafthouse?
No, I saw it at the AMC here. So it is playing at the Alamo Drafthouse here. So maybe everyone who would see a Jim Jarmusch movie wouldn't go to an AMC.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I'm sorry. I went to a Century Theater. I don't know if you guys have Centuries out there, but there were only like 4 other people in the theater. It was kind of sad. I was like, that's depressing. I hope it makes more money than that. Where can people find you on the internet, Margo?
You can find me on social media at Brooklyn Fit Chick. mostly on Twitter and Instagram, though I do have a Facebook page. And then you can check my blog. It's called brooklynfitchick.com. And all the shows that I work on, I talk about in all those places.
And you should if you really like me and Margo, you should A, give us a good review on Apple Podcasts, and B, listen to and subscribe to What a Creep, where we talk about creeps.
We're having so much fun, you guys, and we're getting all kinds of new listeners every week. It's gaining in popularity, and we're having so much fun doing it. And yes, we do talk about a creep every episode, but we end every episode with someone who's not a creep, so it puts you in a good mood.
Yeah.
So please check it out. What a Creep.
Yeah, it's definitely listen to us. And then you can find me at The Sonia Show on Twitter. That's Sonia with an I, and at thesoniashow.com. And you can find Dorking Out at dorkingout.com and the Dorking Out Show on Twitter and Facebook. And this was super fun as always. Now,
I had such a good time.
Did you?
I honestly did. I know I put it down, but I did have a great time watching. And I love talking about this stuff with you.
Now you listen to your Auntie Vita, Margo. I want you to believe in yourself. Imagine good things and moisturize. I cannot stress this enough.
He should have said sunscreen, but yeah, he's absolutely right.
And don't forget the sunscreen.